Good morning, YouTube. Mochismo Eugene. Happy to be here again. Another video. Today I'm gonna talk about leaving the narcissist on red. And that's a terminology, I think, if I'm using it correctly. Leaving someone on red is like leaving them on stop. You give up all communications. You leave them wondering what happened. Now, some would say this is exactly what a narcissist does. Exactly. We have a saying back home, ain't no fun when the rabbit got the gun. And the reason why I'm going to talk about leaving the narcissist on red today is because since I was awakened in 2020, I've had the opportunity not only to be awakened, but to be aware in a few cases where I was pretty certain that these individuals were narcissists, and we're talking about females that I had some interest in. I've actually interacted and mingled around with a couple of borderlines too, so that's why I'm aware of what a borderline may look like as well. They can go under the radar, but they normally borderlines sabotage a relationship very quickly because of their inability to regulate their emotions. It's much like a narcissist, but they will in turn have over the top meltdowns. And it'll leave you wondering, what do I got to do with that? And that's the first determination that you're dealing with a borderline. But staying on this topic of leaving the narcissist on red, you don't owe them any explanation. You don't have to give them a memo. You don't have to send them an email. You don't have to do anything. All you got to do is just bounce. And when I say bounce, we're not just talking about a temporary hiatus. We're talking about bounce for good, forever. And this individual, as of recent, most recent, not really in the immediate, not like weeks ago, but a few months ago, I cease and desist interacting with them, either telephonically, text, or even interacting with them face to face. Now, they are employed at a financial institution, and it's ironic that my twin's mom, I met her at a bank, to be more specific, financial institution. And I don't know, is it me? Because I don't tend to, I'm rubbing this leg here. Let me show you guys. This is not bad for a guy that got ran over by a car last summer. Just had surgery on the meniscus. It's a bad angle. You probably didn't see much, but that's what I'm doing out of the view of the camera. So, yeah. I don't think it's me particularly wanting or being attracted to women who work at a bank, but again, this is a place where you will tend to find women that are dressed for the occasion, dressed to impress, if you will, and they're dealing with money, currency, and they tend to be bubbly all the time, whether it's genuine or superficial. Most of the time it's superficial. They have to be nice because they have to set a good atmosphere. She's in my age group, this woman. There were signs when I met her that she was a narcissist. Blatant signs. Was eating out with her on one occasion when I first met her. As we were entering into the restaurant, she began to show me on her phone what she did, a photo shoot, some pics, partially nude and nude, and went on to say, oh, it's just something I felt like I wanted to do, it's on my bucket list, da 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 da. You know, got super comfortable with me before we even went in to eat. And I now know that that's some of what they do, because they just want you to know that, hey, I got something that you want, and I know how to get you to that point. And, you know, whether she showed me the pictures or not, this is the way a man sometimes thinks. He's always thinking on that superficial level, that physical level anyway, intimacy. But I'm more of a type of guy, I like to interact with people intellectually too. You have to have a conversation. We have to have some dialogue. It's not just about sex, because that's not at the top of my list. Being in my age group and not really, not young again. I see things from a different viewpoint now. I look at longevity. I look at long term. I can see the bigger picture. So as we go in, we eat. She begins to she gets a call or a text. I don't recall. Some of this stuff is a blur when you're dealing with these idiots. You don't even care to remember. But just for sake of this video, I'm gonna paraphrase, or I'm gonna kind of wing it. I think she got a text, and I think I said, "What's going on?" She's like, "Oh, this is just my daughter. She's with her BS again." Oh, I think it was a call, could have been. And then she was like going off on the daughter, talking about she's taking her through this again, just doesn't want her to live her life, always ruining things for her, pretending she can't breathe and going to the ER. So apparently her daughter had gotten taken to the ER because she was short of breath, going through some anxieties or whatever you want to call it. And mom spared no expense to say, in essence, she's lying, she's full of you know what, just always making it up. Last time she did this, there wasn't nothing wrong with her. And to which I replied and said, well, you know, she could have been crying wolf all this time, but if in fact, let's say it is a real deal situation and you downplay it, and you know, looking at the picture after the fact and she's no longer here on earth, wouldn't you feel bad knowing that you downplayed it and you thought she was just playing around? Oh, I know she's lying. I know she's lying. You don't know her like I do. And, you know, the wheels are going in my head. I already know, even before this conversation, that this is a very, very possible narcissist. You know, they're so vain, they're so, and she start talking about her accomplishments, her position in the branch, and da 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 da. And I'm just, you know, in a normal, healthy conversation, those things would be intriguing. I'd be interested in them. But in the way that a narcissist comes on to you with that dialogue, it is distinct. It is distinct and it is unique to them. It is so mechanical. It is so superficial, you want to gag. Because what it tells you right away, that this is a fake person. And I think we all have some level of fakeness to us because we put off our best. We want people to see us in our best light. But what happens with the narcissist, they never stop faking or winging it, if you will. Empaths, we tend to let down our guard. We tend to become more and more genuine as time goes on. We begin to share a lot more of who we are, past, present, and future. We don't hold back like the narcissist does because they don't have anything to offer. They're not holding back information per se. They just don't have a life. They don't have a life that's appealing. They don't have anything to talk about that you would be interested in. Unless you count, last 10 guys I was involved with, I screwed their lives up, man. One of them's in rehab. The other one, I put something in his food, and he's crazy now. And the other one, got ran over by a reindeer, and I cashed in on his insurance policies. Oh, my grandma and my granddad, those siblings, they're in that retirement home. I purposely gaslit them until they went nuts, and agitated them until I made an excuse I couldn't deal with them anymore. So I put them in a home. Now I'm cashing out on them. No, that would be the truth if they told you all the atrocious carnage that they leave behind. No, that wouldn't work well, because you'd be out. You'd be speechless. First of all, you say something, man, I can't believe this person's sitting here saying this disturbing stuff, one after the other after the other. But if you only knew that's the person who you're sitting in front of, that's the person who you're talking to, that's the person who's telling you it's raining and they're pissing on your back. See, I want to make this video clear to you guys when I say leave them on red. Don't dare even consider for a half a second going back apologizing for what role you played in a relationship. Don't go back and try to make amends and clean the slate with them. Don't go and try to bargain with them. Essentially, I'm saying don't go back and revisit anything that was left open-ended. If by chance you have children in common with a narcissist, you need mediation. You need to start and seek out mediation, whether it's a third-party family member or attorney or someone that you can truly trust. And I'm not sure if they even have to be aware of narcissistic personality disorder, but that would be a big benefit for you if they have an insight of what this person truly is, because depending on what third party you use, they can actually be hoodwinked by the narcissist, and they can placate them against you to make you look like you're the one that's just difficult to deal with. You're just disagreeable. You just can't. You don't want to compromise. And we all know that that's the narcissist's MO. They want you to compromise, and in essence, compromise / means put your boundary down, let your guard down. Let me stick my foot in the door, at least the narcissist does. Let me stick my foot in the door. I just need to get a toehold. And once I get my foot in the door, I already know I'm in. This is the narcissist thinking. They give the saying, you give them an inch, they'll take a mile. They give that analogy a whole new meaning. But you're aware now, and if you're aware, you owe it to yourself to remind yourself. And I'm helping you, reminding you as well. Because we know these things, but we don't even often remind ourselves of them. You have to establish a regimen where you remind yourself on a daily. I use this example. Don't neglect your teeth. Brush your teeth daily. Some people brush them 2-3 times a day, which is recommended. This is how you have to look at being aware of narcissists and their personality disorder. You have to daily remind yourself that you cannot give these people any opportunity to reconnect or revisit or to continue where they left off with you. I haven't had a Hoover since the day she left. Well, you don't know, my story goes, I had the information and I don't know Godspeed. I had the information because prior to not the knowledge, I had asked her to leave my house. I just knew it was something demonic with this individual, and it just didn't feel right. It felt like this relationship was just a big joke, and it was. So my intuitions were uh, they were razor sharp. This was even before I even became aware of narcissistic personality by way of Google. The intuition that God afforded me was just so on point. I wanted her out of my house. And I said, I want you to leave. She gave me all kind of lame excuses. She only lives like maybe 6 blocks down the road. I could walk to the house that she lives in that belongs to her mom. I could walk there in like 5 minutes. The thing is, though, I got the knowledge, and what I did was I strategized, and I used this analogy and this example as I did before when I told this story. Law-abiding citizen. I was aware of what a tactician was, and I used tactics, and my tactic was this. Once I listened to that first video of what this narcissist personality disorder was, the hair on my arms raised. It was a whole bunch of feelings all at once. Little woozy, sick to my stomach, aha, makes sense. It's just a smorgasbord of emotions and thoughts that are running through your head. But I was elated because it was almost like a weight was lifted because it made sense what I was dealing with. I went on from that point on. When I listened to that video, that very same day sitting in that car, my brain kicked into thought mode, strategy mode. So I proceeded to her brother's house with my children in the back seat because they heard this definition of what this was at the same exact moment I did. It was on my phone, on a YouTube. After I Googled it, and I went to videos, and I don't know who was the very first person that was talking about this. I always say Little Shaman or someone. And by the way, she is very good, Little Shaman. Wealth of knowledge. So I proceeded to the brother's house. And as I was heading there, I already knew I'm going to let him listen to this. Not because I needed to out her. Like I say, my brain kicked into strategy mode, tactician mode. My whole thought process, notwithstanding telling the children what my motives were, I actually just said, hey, I'm going to go let her brother listen to this. I wonder if he knows I did say that to him. So in my mind, as I'm driving, I'm saying, best case scenario, she'll leave once he tells her, which was my whole motive. Worst case scenario, he'll tell her. And she'll stay. But I was counting on, based on what I had heard about who they are, shame-based people. And once you expose them, they rage. And I do believe, and I say before I learned what narcissistic personality disorder was, I saw the blacks in her eyes, but this was after. Because once I told her brother that day, or I allow him to listen to the video, he shrugged it off. I don't see that. I don't, you think she got this, is what he said. And I said, it's not what I think is what they're saying. And I said, based on the description they just gave, this is exactly what I've been living in with your sister. And I went on to pretend like, oh, man, I'm sorry to tell you this stuff, but, and I added that if you care about your sister, man, she's not going to listen to you when you tell her that this is what she has. I need for you to tell her, hey, if this guy, me, giving you so much problem, Calvin's giving you so many problems, just leave. I'm going to help you move. I'm actually giving him a way out. And giving him a way out to give her a way out. I don't know how he did it or what he said to her, but I went on, I left that night. He was angered too. Not directly, but indirectly. You can see he was a fish out of water. And I'm looking back at that moment, and I'm looking at the fact that the family members know that there is something not right within that family structure. But they're never going to call each other on their bullshit. They're never going to say, well, you know what? You ruin every relationship with every man you get with. They're not going to say that. They will protect them. Hey, you don't need to be with him. Hey, you don't need to be with her. Come on. And they'll give them a reboot. They'll give them a reset. They'll take them out of that situation, and they'll erase that sheet of paper, which is you, and ball you up and throw you in the trash. Discard. That's what it's called. And they'll start over. It's like somebody typing. You mess up on that paper, ball it up, throw it away. You're just as superficial to a narcissist as a paper cup, a styrofoam cup at that. Not even a paper cup. They'll squeeze you until they puncture, or there's a breach in you where you're not able to hold anything anymore. You're not able to tolerate their BS, and your tolerance level is lower. They're out. They're out. She began to throw cans right beside the trash can in the last days of her being here, just doing all kinds of dumbass stuff just to agitate me. I now know stuff that you would say, man, you know, why would you do that? And that was my questions to her. Why would you do that? But what she didn't know is I was asking her these questions because I was always calm about it because, again, I knew what narcissistic personality disorder was. I didn't allow her to get into my emotions. I actually got into her emotions, asking her direct questions, and she would be just cool as a cucumber. I'm going to get him later. And I would go right back with a calm dialogue and say, well, why did you put him there in the first place? That just seems real illogical. I mean, that doesn't even seem like common sense. And so I would really just insult her in a nice way. Just calling it like it was. You know, that doesn't even that just seems like somebody's not really thinking. And so I think it was about a month I had to tolerate her in my house. Can you imagine living in a house where you've all but exposed the narcissist to themselves directly? You've done everything. You've done all the work. You've told someone in the family unit about them. You gave it a name down to the letter. And they've carried it back to them. I only wonder, how did he say to her? I'm wondering, I often wonder, did he say, he's saying you're a narcissist? I'm wondering if he even used the word. That's a curiosity I have about this whole thing, this whole 3 years. But do I really care? I don't. I think if she didn't know, she probably has a real good idea that I know what she is. Matter of fact, she knows I know exactly what she is, because shortly after this, her demise, and she got the hell out of my house, I began, and I wasn't as responsible with the knowledge then as I am now, because we go through these stages. We want to just air it out. We want to tell people about what she is, those who care to listen. But most people don't really care about it as you might think. They may listen. They either don't know, don't care, clueless. Sounds like you may be describing them. Because in the narcissistic trait, we all fall into some of those categories of selfishness, ambitious, jealous, high-minded, being a little arrogant, being a little more superficial than we need to be. We're all into our looks. We're all into our glam. And so we all have, from time to time, more so than others, some of us, we have that issue. But I know what she is. I'm living with her. I'm calling out certain things as behavioral in the house. Let me think about this for a second. You know, I take that back. This was before I found out the word and went to her brother. You know what I did after I had told her brother? I don't believe I I think I might have said a few words to her here and there as far as what I just described to you about calling her out on stuff in the house. I want to believe it was probably only 1 or 2 conversations I had with her. Matter of fact, I would even gamble. Because again, all of this is kind of like a blur. Because as I moved on in my healing, I never really reflected on this as to putting it in the context as far as a video. As I'm telling you the story now, is actually, I'm actually putting it together. I don't think I uttered a word to her after I told her brother. I think I went totally silent. Matter of fact, I think I did. I went totally silent. I didn't speak 1 word to her for about a month. And that's a long time to be living with someone who you're married to, who you talk to on a daily basis. You just automatically shut it off. You shut it down. That did 2 things that made her very uneasy. And it caused her a narcissistic injury, because them not knowing what you're thinking and what your intentions are gives you the edge. And there was one occasion, I believe, when she finally got so uneasy, because it was a couple of times she was trying to get a reaction out of me. She wasn't asking me anything directly. I think she tried to ask me something one time, and I just never replied. And I think it was like, why aren't you talking to me? And like I'm looking now, never looked at her in her face, just went about my business. And so this one particular time in the bedroom, I think she was trying to go a certain way. And somehow or another, I think she tried to create some kind of physical altercation. And I don't know exactly how she got around me, but I think she almost tried to push me, but me being taller and a lot more stronger, I kind of just stood my stance. And coward as they were, she went her way. And the one particular day that I think she ensued with a physical shove, I think I might have said, no. That was the day, the very day the shoving match, she tried to shove me. I began to go in on her. As I recall the other video I told you guys, I started cursing her out. I called her every name in the book. This is when I didn't know what narcissistic personality was. And I was just, you were gaslighting the hell out of me. And I went in. I was cursing this girl out worse than I had ever cursed anybody out in my life. I was not even sparing any expense. I was not even feeling bad about it. I was going in like a machine gun. From like 2 foot away, 3 foot away. Just going in, verbally. And all of a sudden I looked in her eyes and I saw the white here in both eyes turn dark black. Like the black in my eyes, her whole eye went black. And I said, what's wrong with your eyes? And then I began to quote scriptures. Something within me began to quote scriptures. And I said, Satan, you get out of my face. You go right back to hell where you belong. Blah, 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 blah. Saying something to that effect. But I know this. I ceased to curse her out. And I switched up and started quoting scriptures. To which she went to the closet area and leaned her head on the clothing rack like this. And I now know that was a sign of disgust and defeat. He knows who I am. Those scriptures actually made her flee. Now, I didn't even know what narcissistic personality disorder was, but I used scripture, quoted scripture with power within me going behind it. I think God kicked in in the overdrive and said, listen, my son, this is what you need to do to win this battle with this individual. She got you out of pocket right now. I'm going to help this thing make sense. And from that day to this one, shortly after I left out of that house with my children, I said, let's go. Let's get out of here. Sitting in that parking lot on my driveway, I said, where am I going? Subconsciously. Just sitting there for 2-3 minutes. I look at my phone. Because again, my empathy is saying, man, I don't understand what's wrong with this girl. I'd always thought she had mental health problems. So I Googled, what makes a person not show true remorse? I'm starting to have dialogue. I'm trying to have some resolve with this individual. They're looking at their phone. I hear you. This is in times past. I'm talking to her. All this chaos that they create around the house. I come in the house, it's dead silence. My children sitting in one side of the room. She's sitting over there. I'm like, what's up, guys? My kids are looking like they've been held hostage, but they're not saying anything because now I know they can't even put into context what this woman has probably done in my absence, tormenting them verbally, giving them this laundry list of things to do while she sit on her big Oompa-Loompa behind. Physicalities was not what attracted me about her, I'll tell you that. Her quietness, beautiful eyes, and what I thought was a decent personality. And her autistic kid, which I think was so humorous. All of these things in combination. And being that I've been in a lot of failed relationships, I didn't think I was just settling. I thought maybe I was just trying to be practical in my approach to just wanting to be with somebody that was decent. But again, I think I was settling for just whatever seemed to be the most comfortable, seems to be the most no frills, no problems as far as the eye could see. Her quietness, hadn't been with someone that was so quiet before, so I equated that to not being problematic, but I was wrong. Now, after Googling that, then this thing lights up, narcissistic personality disorder. I began to go on, tell the brother. Then I come back home from that day forth, not one word. There was moments when I began to let my children stay with their mom, even though I have custody, and I had custody at that time. I began to allow them to stay with their mom more so than I usually let them when I had to work, because I began to realize I won't let my kids stay in this house because I don't want to trust her feeding them any food, because I told you I fell ill here in the house at one point, and I don't know to this day why I got so sick. I now know and believe in my heart that she put something in my food and was probably progressively putting stuff in our food. I could tell you some of the things I imagine that narcissists will do to your food, but you just use your imagination. Anything you can imagine they probably have done to you in your food. For this reason by itself, this video should encapsulate the whole reason why you shouldn't even try to reattach or revisit a conversation with them. For that one reason, what I just said, for the fact that they could potentially put something in your food or your drink. And if you're lucky, you'll just get sick. If you're not so lucky, and I don't like to use the word luck, if you're not so fortunate, they may be cashing in on you. So, just really don't want you guys to go back to that place. And again, that being one of the situations that you shouldn't do. Going forth, you don't want to really just share a lot of you and the things you know about narcissistic personality disorder to any and everybody. Because I went silent here, and it was a few days of that month that she remained here until she finally left. I slept in my car after work. There was a couple of days that the boss let us go home early, and had I came home early, which I didn't, I'm pretty certain I would have ran into the very individual or individuals I saw on my video camera coming into my house while I was at work, and my children were in just the next room sleeping. I have video of that. Some say, man, you know, she'd be XYZ if I had video of her letting men come into my house. So you gotta understand, when God is already building you up to be strong enough to deal with the things that are in the future, He knew that He was equipping me to be mentally strong to deal with these things in the way I dealt with them, in the manner I dealt with them. Because if I didn't have the knowledge, who knows, I would have impulsively, out of anger, just did the unthinkable. I don't think I ever thought for one moment of doing something detrimental to this individual. Because again, this knowledge, after having lived through all of this nonsense that didn't make sense, this knowledge, it connected the dots in a way where I got it and I got it. I've always been a firm believer in diffusing a situation short of using physical violence. I've had many relationships I've been in the past where the one German girl who I think is a narcissist, I told you guys about in a video, she tried to contemplate and tried to create physical altercations that didn't work. And you know, they all try to pretend and they give the illusion to people when they'll listen to him, oh, he's abusive. Because when you're verbal like me, that equals abusive. Because you don't want to hear the shit, you don't tolerate it, you see it, you hear it for what it is. And when they try to cloud what you know is reality, then you're deemed impossible to live with, impossible to deal with. He's violent. Stay verbal, stay vocal, guys. Don't allow, if in this case, if you're a man listening to this and there's a woman who's potentially a narcissist, and equally women, if you got a guy that you believe is a narcissist, you stand in your truth, you say what you have to say, and you stick to it. And you don't have to keep repeating it. You say it one time and say, that's what I said and that's what I'm standing on. That's the way I see it, that's the way I see it. You see it the way you see it, and that's the way you see it. In no time at all, you will see the fangs come out in these individuals. For that reason alone, you shouldn't want to continue any relationship, because they have violent propensities. Verbally, they're getting aggressive with you. That's a violent propensity to go on and possibly do physical violence. And in my case, this girl got me so verbally uptight. That was the narrative that she was trying to create. Oh, look how loud he's getting. Look how verbal he's getting. Look how much he's swearing. He's violent. I'm afraid of what he's going to do. I remember one time we were in a conversation and she had got me so heated, gaslighted the hell out of me. Just nonchalantly picked her phone up, started pushing buttons. I'm so heated, I ain't even realize what she's doing. She grabs the phone and she pushes the button. Here, talk to him. Calls her brother and then say, here, talk to him. Here, talk to him. I don't even think she told her brother, hey, talk to him. She was like, talk to him. And I guess he heard her through the phone with it this far away. They don't even have the audacity to even talk to the person who they're trying to call to their defense. They don't give them that respect. Here, talk to him. Talk some sense in him. I grabbed the phone like some kind of puppet. Who is this? What's going on over there? It's almost like it was already orchestrated. Like he was almost waiting on this call. Who knows how many relationships she's gone through where she's did this ideal same thing. They like robots. They do the same thing. It's like one of them robots that mops your floor. It probably goes in the same pattern. Who knows? Because they are robots. And so I was telling him basically, I don't care what she tell you. So I was standing in my truth, even with him. He didn't get me upset. He didn't get me unhinged. I say, man, I'm saying what I'm saying, and I'm standing on it. Is there something wrong with your sister, bro? I don't know what it is. I don't even got time to figure it out. I said, I've asked her to leave my house. She won't leave. That's the only problem we got over here. I want her out of my house. And maybe y'all should go to counseling. Maybe she just take a pill, man, like I did. So he had went to a doctor and got some pills prescribed to him, and he didn't waste no time in a family gathering to try to talk to me. This was prior to this situation, trying to pretty much tell me he feels a lot better now that he's taking this pill. Just weird him. Him and his wife, if they happen to get in little spats of sort or disagreements, she goes down to New York City or somewhere down outside of New York State and gets a room for a weekend and just spends the weekend supposedly by herself. And he consents to this. Say, yeah, when she come back, she normally okay. Really? Guys, go do the math on that. Who does that? Who does that? But again, we got narcissists with, and she could probably be one too. I don't know. Don't care. If you got two narcissists together, it's almost like a business. That relationship, that marriage, they work off of each other. They'll be swingers. They'll be tricking trifectas, quadfectas, like Tio and the MBD say. They trisexual. They'll try anything. Might be into bestiality, who knows? But again, this is 42 minutes we're at right now, rattling on and off. The whole premise of this video is to just emphasize, don't go back. Don't revisit. Don't go back and try to clean it up. The conversation, the argument, the debate. Because that could be that one time you go back that could make that problem just as worse as it was before. And it could be a possible setup to where this narcissist is going to get the best leverage that they've ever had. Because they know that they've lost all hope. And you dare come back and you setting up a meeting. So they premeditating how they're about to get you. Slam dunk. They're down 20 points in the fourth quarter. It's only 2 minutes on the clock. They're desperate. They have to win this game. And looking at it from all accounts, how in the hell can somebody come back from a 20-point stretch with 2 minutes on the clock? It's not going to be from they're sure having the athleticism, but being that they're narcissists, you damn well better believe they have narcissistic athleticism, whatever that is. If there's a way to figure out how to con you and dupe you and manipulate you, I'm guaranteeing you that the narcissist has already done it. They've mastered that art. But with the girl that I had to leave on red, I kind of got off of that. Don't have no feelings one way or the other. Sort of a disgust, I guess. Text me, I guess she texted me on WhatsApp today. What's up, stranger? I'll leave them on red until the cows come home. Don't know if I'll ever go to that branch. And this is it, man. When you cease and desist, you almost have to avoid going to different places, whether it's the grocery store, wherever it might be. You just got to change your route up, man. It doesn't trouble me any. If I run into her in public somewhere randomly, that'll be that. But don't miss that at all. Don't miss anything associated with them. Their care and concern for their family is disgusting. So if they don't care about their own family and they demean their own family member, what do you think they think about you? They're just using you for an opportunity to destroy you. It's like a tree. They're going to get the sap out of the tree, and beyond that, you're useless to them. These are the most despicablest people in the whole wide world. They make some animals look like humane. I think they have an animalistic DNA. I've said it before. The Lion King. Go look at the Lion King. Look at Scar being the narcissist, malignant, or whatever you have, and the hyenas being the minions, the flying monkeys and whatnot. And you got the empaths, the little guy that's becoming king and his father. James Earl Jones, I think, played the voice of the little lion's father. I forget his name in that movie. But I love the Lion King. If you guys want to know what a narcissist looks like and what their angle is and how this plays out in your life, go back and watch the Lion King. And you'll see how it all ends with the narcissist. Makes you wonder who directed and wrote The Lion King, The Matrix. All of these movies that have a lot of strategy, a lot of chess game going on in these movies. It's like who done it. It's always fast paced, backstabbing. Very true to life, this stuff, man. Okay, that's it. Guys, have a wonderful Saturday. Bless.